Coach, aftermath of the win and film review of what you all were able to do yesterday against the Saints.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. So obviously, glad to get the win. You know, it was a physical game. I thought both our O line and D line played really physical. All around. I mean, we knew it was going to be a big. The atmosphere was unbelievable. It was the closest thing to a playoff intensity that I've been around since I've been here, and we needed that win. And plenty of stuff we got to clean up. You know, we got to get a little cleaner on some of the, just on a few of the passing game stuff that we will. We got to keep working through it. But in terms of protection and a run game on the offensive side, that was a really good effort. It's a good defense. Our guys rallied. You know, they rose to the occasion. And then defensively, there's a couple of things we got to clean up. Like I said yesterday, some of the plays they made between the 20s, some were tight window throws. Other things they did, we got to clean up some of the stuff on the sideline, tackling, and then. But at the end of the day, situational football made them kick field goals, and we got 2 turnovers. And that was kind of the difference in the game.
And then personnel-wise, it just looked like you did a different rotation on the running backs and the secondary with the safeties and Trey Flowers getting a little bit more active.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we were using personnel to maximize everybody that's up, and thought it could help. Depending on the plan, if you're going to play a lot of man coverage, those guys are going to be running around a lot. So you're trying to mix and match there. We mix and match on the defensive line. Some other guys deserve to play, and they'd earn that. And so I think it benefits the whole team. And then you get in a game like we did yesterday. Our intent wasn't necessarily thinking we were going to run it that many times. We were going to, wanted to be balanced and this and that. But as the flow of the game, getting guys involved, kind of the way it worked out, and that's a credit to the way the line was blocking and the way those guys were running.
We talked a bit about the rebellion stuff yesterday. Is that something you want to stick with going forward now?
Yeah, I'm not going to I think it worked well for us. And, there's other small things we did logistically around and the other phases too. But that's the name of the game. It's just like every week you're looking at what can you do better and what makes sense for us and communication flow.
In terms of Kyle Pitts, played 50% of the snaps, and in the second half it was below 40%. Is there something more going on with him at this point, 2/3 of the way through the year? Or?
You really just you're probably looking. I understand the question and why you're looking at it. It's the same stuff. He's been building to come back, and I told you that. And made the plays that were there. There was a couple times that we took off on some pass attempts that he had a shot at, but when you're in some of the heavy 4-minute stuff, and there was no need to put some of those guys out there. And so this is kind of the way the game flowed. That wasn't like some intentional, like, hey, get them off the field. It's, some of it's a credit to Hesse and Pruitt and the way those packages were built, and it was working and stuck with it. It's the name of the game is to win the game and for everybody to improve. And
the players kind of crediting you for just the way that the week of practice was conducted. What was your kind of mindset as the coach going into that week and wanting to kind of structure things that way, and especially that Wednesday practice, wanting to have that really intense one?
get back to who we are. We're not a flashy team, so get back to what our core values are. Don't lose your way just because, as I said it last week and I meant it, but it's a credit to the players. Credit to those guys' mindset, and pays off. And the challenge is we're going to go play a really good defense in New York. They'll be ready to go. They got good players, and we got to do it on a consistent level. But the way we're built, like I said, I think the offensive line knows as well as they've played since I've been here, and that's the expectation. It shouldn't be a secret. They're good players, and we've invested heavily, and we got a lot of belief in those guys. So I just one of those things, you don't want to lose your way. And, but yeah, I'm lucky I get to coach those guys.
Arthur, is there a sense of relief or like a fresh start now that you're tied for first and you got the game in hand over the Saints. I mean, does it change the mindset at all?
Well, certainly, you know, you need to be rewarded. I mean, for a win, when you're putting that kind of work in, and talking about conviction and belief, and our guys never lost that, and you can be frustrated, like we talked about before, and you lose a game on a couple plays here or there. But the key is, like I said, I mean, that's why every week's a different story, and that's the biggest challenge now is we got to go up to New York and we got to start stacking wins. But this game is, they're all important, and this game's a huge game for us. We can't go like this. So we need to get prepared. We got to play better, and good challenge going on the road.
What did you think of Desmond's ability to overcome the interceptions and just continue to stay sort of focused, given the problems he had before?
Yeah, it's we like I said, we've all got to do a better job there, but that's what I thought. You're getting the one down there. There's a couple things going on. It's not just on one person. We can all do better. We've got to fix that. You can't turn the ball over. I mean, you talk about making life hard on yourself. I mean, you get a chance to double them up. Right, we were getting the ball after the half. Even if we come away with 3 there, that's points off the board. I really look at it. But the other one trying to take a shot. But you needed to come back, and you're going to have to keep playing through it. So that's what you appreciate. But they're all learning experiences. And we've got to find a way to eliminate those. But like I said, it got back to 0 on the turnover margin because of the plays Jesse made, but we got to keep working and improve that.
Going back to what you're talking about with the offensive line, there were a lot of conversations after the game where guys were talking about how essentially, I guess, like coaching staff, y'all challenged the offensive line specifically to play their brand of ball. What did that challenge look like in terms of what y'all were asking them to do and kind of how they received that?
I won't get too much in what I said in the team meeting, but it's pretty practical. So I'll leave it at that. And they played well.
Do you feel like a game like that establishes like a reference point for the offense philosophically of like this is how we want to play? I mean, you said after the game like this is us. Was that established, like that kind of identity, I guess, established in that game? That's something that you can kind of refer back to as you go through.
You want to, but I mean the key is not to relax. I mean the Jets, that's a prideful group. That's a physical defense. So that's going to be that's the next challenge, and that's the hardest thing to do in this league. You guys see it every week, the consistency, because it's the best, players, and there's no secrets. I mean, they all watch the same tape, and that's the challenge, is not to get comfortable. And so we got to play better than we did this week, and if we want to be that team that wins a division and plays in the extra games, and we got to improve. But that's the mindset. We have to get better.
Arthur, defensively, I can't recall a team putting up 444 yards of offense and not getting into the end zone. So,
Yeah.
I mean, is there is that like a positive, negative? Hey, we bend, but we didn't break. I mean, how do you view that?
Yeah, we're certainly not trying to bend. So, a lot of people say that. Yeah, they're just playing bend. No, it's not what we were playing. I mean, they hit some. They made some plays. Some of those crossing routes. It wasn't like guys were wide open. I mean, we can play that better in the air, but it wasn't. Schematically, like there was guys running wide open. To their credit, the throws, the catches they made, and there was a couple other things that kind of, they got us on a couple plays on the perimeter. And they did. There's a couple third down conversions. We got them to third down. A couple things happened there, and we'll continue to work. But people make plays. It's our job to rally, because you don't let that momentum carry in there. And some of it, they got some penalties, and then we were able to get turnovers, and guys did a nice job in those critical downs. But yeah, there's like I said, there's always stuff to work on. We certainly are not trying to bend. The old adage, bend but don't break. But when it happens, those guys stepped up.
The fourth down play call in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
What were, I guess, if Gary go in motion, like what was?
Let me guess. You found some pause thing on the brutal cesspool of social media, and you think you know what you're doing. Here it is. Here's you got to. No, okay. So
I was in that.
yeah, I can only imagine. No, it's a zone replay, and here's the thing: is they have a say. They won a couple blocks, so it's you got to look. Maybe it looks a little gadget, a little unbalanced. They got the look we saw on the film. Problem is they played it better than we did, and look, it's something we hadn't shown. They did a good job. Obviously, bad call.
Because the defensive lineman moved, it looked like moved with McGarry.
Yeah, there's one or two things you do on
Yeah.
that. They either new center. Well, I guess three things. Some people don't move at all, or you new center where everybody moves over and you create a new center to where the unbalance is. Or they did that. That was their short yardage call, and the guy he shifted with McGarry.
Yeah.
So there's one guy outside, and they played over the top on both of them, and they kind of compressed the edge with nowhere to go. They played it better than we did, and like I said, bad call.
Philosophically, just optically, it seems maniacal to put a guy 9 yards behind the line of scrimmage when you only need 2. Like,
What do you mean 9 yards?
the running back was like 9 yards back behind the line of scrimmage when the play started. Like, it just,
Heels at 8. That's what it is when you're under center.
okay.
So
I'm
7.5
sorry.
toes or 7.5. Well, if you have a direct run, unless you want to put them up for a belly, or you run them like a trap, that's where our guys are. So it can be maniacal, but that's kind of NFL 101. If the quarterback's under center, his heel's usually at 8. If he's 9 yards back, he was lined too deep. But so you look at Dez, if Dez had been the guy you're handing the ball in the trap, that's where he would have been too. So there's a lot to pick apart, but that's if you say maniacal.
Like a genius, right?
What's that?
It works, you look like a genius.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
mean,
it?
it's a zone replay we run a lot.
Right.
They played it better, different look. It is what it is. Bad call.
We've talked to Marquise before about, he'll kind of talk with Koo about kind of what is his maximum range in a given game, and it could depend on weather or whatever.
It popped right before the half. It didn't, but it got in a point where we were in a go mindset. So it had nothing to do with Koo.
CP is now technically 5. I think he's 5 kick returns now this year, which is on pace for the lowest of his career. How much of that is the new rules versus what you guys are maybe trying to do?
No, I think it's both. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily the new rules. Some people don't kick to them, and then some people, they're trying to kind of bait you into it with that 1 yard kick. They squibbed it to him one time. He took it out. Yeah, did a nice job with that squib. But you just got to decide what you want to do. I mean, they kick it 9 deep. You don't want to take it out. I mean, he has before. But that's the game that they're playing. They're trying to give you that challenge to see if they're checking you early to see, in my opinion, what you're going to do. And so I was probably a little bit of both.
Was that a tough conversation to have with him? Because throughout his entire career, he's been a guy that if he can physically have a shot at returning it, he's going to do it.
Well, I think it's a better question for him, but his game is he's still a good kick returner. He's a really good offensive player. So every week that'd be a different story. We got a lot of faith in him, but those are things that you work through every week, and we'll see. Some weeks it might be different.
Coach, the blocking on the 10-yard touchdown run, how did that look on the film review? Looked like he had a nice crease.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Make sure we can continue to finish with good ball security too there. But yeah, that's what you want to see in the run game. Good job. They pressed it and cut it, and good blocking on the second level. And there was a lot of good runs like that with all three of those guys. And like I said, it not just the O-line, but I thought on the perimeter, those guys helped. And I thought Prue and Hesse, they did a good job too in their role.
Passing touchdown to Bijan in the fourth, was it designed, when that free runner came in, was it designed to go to Bijan that way, or was that just a?
Yeah, and he wouldn't have been free. Drew was going to him, but we got to be cleaner on that in the middle. But you got answers. Yeah.
Boyle's supposed to start, and, the defensive front, and then, Gardner on the defensive side or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got a talented football team. B-led. They got good skill players. Like I said, it's a fast team. It's a fast defense. We got to go on the road. Prideful group, you know how it is every week in the NFL. We got to play better. We need this win, and they're saying the same thing up there. There won't be a lot of secrets with the intent, especially, the way that they play and the way we want to play. We're looking forward to it. It's a good challenge. Bless you.
When you see a team that struggles offensively, that's had so much change at quarterback, do you try to just stick to what you normally do in those situations, or do you try to get a read on who the starter is now and see if there's something you can exploit against them? Or, I mean, what's the philosophy, I guess, in those spots?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, as you're game planning, what they're trying to do, and obviously the personnel, and, the play caller, what's their identity, and then a lot of it is stuff we got to correct, because what happens is, as you guys know this, like, if something's out there on tape that you haven't shut down, they're going to try it. It may be a little bit different, but they'll try a shot at the midfield, right? That's been trending, all those things. Like, so there's a lot of things that go into it. I won't get into certainly the specifics of what we're going to game plan, but yeah, that is part of it as you're preparing for anybody. What are their strengths? What are their identity, the personnel, and then obviously what's hurt us and what we need to improve as well.
I know that's Holmes and Richard yesterday. What has DeMarco done to maybe put himself in a position where he's
Makes plays.
Yeah.
His numbers called. That's what you give guys opportunities, and he continue to make plays. He's done a good job. There's a lot of trust, and there's a role for all of them. And I thought all three safeties played really well. I thought it was one of Richie's better games. And Marco, he's a instinctive football player, and then obviously Jesse had a huge impact. But all three of those guys I thought played really well yesterday.
Is that something that you would consider maybe even more free safety would go? Because I know, like the first few
Depending
years,
on
that was
the
something
plan.
you guys looked at a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, you obviously want to put your most productive guys on the field as much as possible, and there's a game of making sure you got the right guys and personnel and not overdoing it in certain areas. But it's a good problem to have when you've got good football players and you're trying to find roles for the other guys. So that's kind of where we're at with those guys.
Have you ever seen a Hail Mary intercepted return for a touchdown before until Friday?
You see a lot of random things. I don't know. I mean, but that's why every play matters. I'm not. It's not a criticism at all, but you can't take any play for granted. Even as something as simple as a CQ exchange, on the goal line. I mean, we've seen that, right? Was that game backed up? Was that crazy game, Buffalo, Minnesota, on a quarterback victory sneak, backed up, and the ball bounced a funny way. Just like the ball bounced a funny way. Onyemata hit the ball yesterday and just took a funny bounce right back to him. So we've all seen that before. That's why there's nothing like the NFL and the game of football.
Was there a noticeable, I don't want to say emotional swing, 'cause I don't think players would take it that way, but when Jesse has that pick six, like, it seemed like a really pivotal point in that game.
It's a huge momentum. Just like, points off the board for us at the half. I mean, look, we made the tackle right there, so nothing. But that's a 14-point swing. Or at worst, potentially maybe a 10-point swing. But that's these are huge plays, especially when you're at home like that. It just kind of woke everybody up. But that's why we had so much conviction in Jesse. He's a big-time player, and he's done a really nice job here.
Anything else?
He just always seems to be like in the right spot at the right time, and like how much has his presence kind of stabilized things, even when maybe it's not always.
Well, it's the way he prepares. I would say that has a lot to do with it. I mean, the guy. He's very intentional about what he's studying, not just sitting there watching himself and just logging hours on his iPad or in the film room. He's got great habits, and what he sees, he's got great recall, and he understands the call and where the weaknesses are and when to take those chances. And but that's what we had a lot of conviction about bringing him in here. He can take a lot away. He's a really dynamic football player.
Anything else? Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.